Hello, Phyllida.
Hello, Greta. Thank you for being with me today.
Thank you for being with us today. It's a delight to have you here for this. So, Phyllida, what is your new book about?
What's my new book about? Well, you have attended the course on biology of dying. Yeah. There will be a lot about the dying process, but that doesn't necessarily mean it will be about physical death. There'll be a lot in the book about integration. You know, Greta, in the past I used to say things like, we need to let go. We need to let go of holding on to people and things. We need to let go of our rages and angers. I don't speak like that anymore. Because what I have learned is that when I, as a member of a family, let go of something, I have learned that there will be somebody in that family system to pick up that which I have let go of, because it needs to be integrated. It needs to come in. I need to be able to integrate either my anger, my rage, an experience with another person. I need to be able to integrate all my experiences. And that means they become a part of who I am. And it's about not denying an experience either. You know, when we say something like, oh, you need to let your father go now, he's ready to die. There's something in that that's very incongruent for me. It's almost, you know, there's a kind of a hardness in it. Let him go. He's asking you to let him go. What I believe now is that we need to integrate, bring it in. Don't let it go. Bring it right in so that it's part and parcel of my experience on the earth as a human being, so that I can be a whole person. If I let it go, and I'll say it again, that which we let go of, a member of the family, maybe not in this generation, but later on, they will pick that up. Now let your jealousies go. That's the old psychology. Let your fears go. Where do you let them go to? I remember one time being in a group of people, and the teacher said, it was a yoga class, by the way, the teacher said, oh, take all your worries and all your stresses and all the tension and imagine there's a bubble, and you put all this and your fears, but all into this big, big bubble, and see this bubble going into the air. You know, I remember sitting with this bubble and thinking to myself, bubbles burst. What happens with the fallout of my anger, my jealousy, my stress? It's energy. And somehow it may be absorbed into the earth again. So that's where my thinking was going, and that's quite a long time ago. So maybe it's only in the last 2 or 3 years I've been really using this word to integrate. So the book is about having many experiences. We are here to experience life. Life does not belong to us. We are here to be the experiencer of life force on the earth. And the more experiences we have, the richer we become. But what happens, unfortunately, is that we judge our experiences. Good one, not a good one. An experience is good if I feel good. An experience is not good if I don't feel good. We're living in this dichotomous world of good, bad, high, low, death, birth, when in actual fact, all needs to be integrated. Neutral. Life is neutral. Death is neutral. Love is neutral. Death doesn't have an agenda for us, neither does life. We bring in the agenda when we come into the earth. We bring in our script, if you like, and we live that. through the agency of this amazing life force. So when I say it's not my life, I am the beholder, the Behalterin in German. I am the beholder, or I can contain this life within me, but I'm not controlling it. There's a big difference between containing something, like the cauldron contains life, and controlling. Controlling is, I've got a goal to reach, I'm going to save my soul, I'm going to do that, I'm going to be that. Even the ego says, I'm going to be a spiritual person. Even the ego will say, I'm on the journey to my spiritual transformation. You know, the ego is so amazingly wonderful, so intelligent. It uses our spiritual language to make us think, we're okay, we've got a goal here. I'm on a spiritual journey. But in actual fact, it's just pumping up the ego. And it's not the truth. It's the way the ego uses language to make me think I'm saved. I'm transformed now. I don't have to do anything else. I'm enlightened. If you're enlightened, you will never say it. But others will feel the light emanating from you. But you'll never say I'm enlightened. The same as I say, don't tell me you're a shaman. I don't want to know about that. Or don't tell me that you're a wonderful singer. I want to hear you singing. I'll decide. I want to see you with people. I'll decide if you're a healer. Don't tell me that. It's like the ego's walking in front of us with a big placard, you know. I'm a healer. I'm a singer. I'm a book writer. You know, I'm an author. That's for others in the community to find out about you. I'm a teacher. No, the community calls you in. It calls that out of us to bring it into the community. The community will call the healer out of you to bring it into the community, so you may serve the community. We're servants of the community. So this book is about all that. And then about dying in the physical body, of course, that comes into it in the end, yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to read it. So, but the title, The Ecstasy of Life, what do you mean by the ecstasy of life?
Yes, it's the last ecstasy of life.
Sorry,
So, you know, the last ecstasy of life. Well, of course, with my mind and the way I question everything, I would say, well, if that's the last ecstasy, what's the first? There has to be a first in order to be a last, so that progression. The last ecstasy of life. You know, I love words, Greta. I really love looking at words and their meaning, and how meaning can change as I change. Meaning of words will change with me. They're experiencing me in a different way. I'm experiencing them in a different way. So ecstasy is a beautiful word. It really means to be ecstasis, to be out of that place of being static, of being sterile, being stuck. Ecstasis, ecstasy. So you're in the movement of life. You're in the dance of life. You're in the joy of life. To be in ecstasy is to be in joy, enjoying life to the full. You know, when I've been working with the dying for so many years and looking at my own dying process, every day something is being integrated, which I call death, the final integration as well, if you like. When I look at the dying process and I experience it in myself, I have an amazing mentor called life. And life will not allow me, when I'm with my groups of people or when I'm teaching or whatever it's called, it will not allow me to teach a theory. What it does, it allows me the experience first. And when I've integrated the experience, I can then talk from my experience of that. And that's the way I teach. So I have to walk the talk. In other words, to experience what I'm talking about, what I'm teaching. Because if I don't, I get, come on girl, you know, here's an experience for you. I'll show you. You need to be authentic. And to be authentic, you need to experience that what you're talking about. Otherwise, you're talking nonsense. The last ecstasy. This is a very full subject, Greta, the last ecstasy, because, and I'm not going to go into the whole thing now. And we have little ecstasies during our lives. Of course we have, or we wouldn't be able to take it. You know, we have these wonderful little awakenings from stasis into ecstasy. We're always in that trajectory, from stasis, from immovement to movement, from the inner to the outer, projecting all the time what's in out there. So this trajectory of the final ecstasy is actually also in the way of trajecting not only into my death itself, but beyond death. The trajectory goes further than just dying. It's about what I meet on the other side of the breath. I breathe in, inspiration. I breathe out, experience. So I believe that my final out-breath, my final experience, which will be the out-breath, will take me into another dimension of life. Now you've heard me say it till I'm green, white and gold in the face, saying life is not dependent on form. Life is not dependent on form. Life is that which gives the force to form, to be fully in the movement, to be fully in the dance, to be fully in ecstasy. So when I have my final out-breath, where does it go out to? We say out-breath. Expiration, to be out of the breathing. I'm into a space where I no longer need oxygen, where I no longer need water, fire, earth, space. I'm into spacelessness and timelessness, where experience comes to an end. But, and this is the secret, it's not the end. It's the beginning of a new journey. And it depends on how I have breathed out my last breath, my last experience, as to how this new journey will begin. I am in charge. I am the one who creates my life with the universal heart, with universal consciousness. I am the creator of my life as I live it here today. Do I stop creating that life when I die? No. No, responsibility is not just taken from me when I die. I am still responsible for my life after I die. That's a biggie. So I need to be kind of half grown up in this dying thing. I need to know what I'm doing. I don't come as a child raw from experience. I need to know, I need to learn how I can be fully alive in my dying process. And this book is going to show you how to do that.
Wow.
You know, people will say, oh yes, I'm fully in life, I have a wonderful life, as if when I die that's the end of it. No. It continues. Life continues. I continue. That which I am, that which I am continues, whilst the dear darling body that looked so beautiful with her long plait is lying in the earth, decomposing. You know, that's happening. That life is happening in the earth, for God's sake. I'm providing, you know, natural minerals and the source of food for these animals. I'm continuing on the earth as well as in another dimension. There is no end. There's a recycling. There's a recycling going on of this physicality in the earth. And there's a whole new birthing happening in another dimension. It's all life. And I am creating it. Today, here, sitting with you, I'm creating my dying process. Do I want to leave my dying to others? That they can be with me, they'll say prayers for me, they'll hear my confession, they'll give me absolution? No, that's not their business. It's my business to have a happy death. I heard somebody saying some time ago, oh, you know, I don't think my father had a happy death. I think he had a very unhappy death. He seemed to be, you know, in a lot of pain in the end. You could see his face contorting, and I thought, though I can hardly believe it. He was such a good person, a lovely man, and a dear father, and yet to see him writhing in the end, it was very hard to see that. You know, there is such a thing as misinterpretation of the facial expressions of a dying person. Have you ever seen on a film or a video a person who's in a sexual orgasm? Mm-hmm. Have you seen their face? Mm-hmm. Their face contorts, not because of pain, but because their whole body is in this space of ecstasy. Mm-hmm. There is a movement everywhere that we interpret as pain for the dying. Mm-hmm. So we give them morphine, and still more morphine, so that this ecstatic moment is cut off. Mm-hmm. They come back into the body again and find it, you know, they're taking a long time to die, because every time they're near that moment of absolute orgasm, because that's what happens, and I explain it in the book, we give them more morphine. We bring them back into this body again to start the whole journey from the feet right through the body, with the life force filling up and coming into every part of the body, working through the energy centers, fulfilling every need and every unmet need, looking at all that as it goes along, warming up this amazing joy flowing through, this ecstatic joy coming through, having an orgasm in your fingertips everywhere, and you're stopped in that process. Imagine you're with your lover in the bed and you're having a wonderful orgasm, and the door quickly opens and somebody comes in and says, "Oh, your tea's ready." Yeah. Or the children jump on the bed. We stop the sacred process of a happy death, ecstatic death. We stop the process by giving too much morphine and all other kind of pain relief that the person doesn't need, because this amazing death hormone consisting of oxytocin, serotonin, and dopamine, and doctors know about this, it flows from the pineal gland right through the whole being, filling us with ecstasy, helping us to bond with the soul journey. And that's happening, so there is no pain in the body at this stage. And when we have eyes to see that, and when we've got ears to listen with the inner ear to the process of the dying person, we will know that's not physical pain. That's an ecstatic journey. And I must learn about that. And we have to learn about that. And this is what I'm teaching now. Have the eyes to see deeper than what your eyes see. Have a presence in you that when you're with a dying person, you will know when the energy changes. You will know when the fire energy is moving into water, is moving into air, is moving into time. You'll know it. You'll sense the subtle energies, but you must first sense them in yourself. Here is the time and the place to sense these subtle energies in ourselves. And this is what I teach at the moment. Being aware of subtle changes in my body. Being aware of integrating things in my life, not throwing them away as useless waste. What do I do with my anger? Thankfully, you're doing anger work with people. And they don't have to stay there forever. You keep moving up the energy systems. The anger work down, the fire in the belly, the first 3 energy centers, control, possessiveness, etc., etc. You work on that and you move into the heart. You move into the heart, what happens? You begin to feel your grief. You begin to feel what's happening, feel your jealousies. You'll be able to feel life. And when you're able to integrate all those experiences, what happens? The universal heart explodes in you. And that's called compassionate heart. And you're never yourself again. How can you be? This is a changed being. This is a transformation taking place within yourself. Now you're seeing more than just yourself. Now the ego is saying, oh dear, oh I see, oh yes, okay, oh yeah, okay, I better be quiet here because you know, there's something else going on. There's something deeper going on. Because the ego has been loved. When we love our ego, it's like a quiet little lamb. And it'll serve us beautifully, telling us we're hungry, telling us we're tired. No, don't go out there, you know, it's raining today, you haven't got your raincoat, you've lost your umbrella. The little everyday things that the ego loves to remind us about. And thank it, because it's still there, and it has to be there, or I'd be just, you know, walking into cars. Literally. The ego knows its place now, because it's loved. And that which is loved will never play havoc, either with this being or with any other being. And that's the safeguard for the ego, to be loved into the soul, to be integrated, not apart, but integrated into soulfulness. So the two become one. The Haggis Galmas, that holy marriage of ego and spirit. Wonderful. So you can be in joy from morning till night, getting people's nerves. But all the past stuff, the unfinished business, it gets to be finished. And you mind your own business. And you don't care other people's business. You let them have that joy of knowing that when they fall, they can get up again. They fall down, you stand by them and watch them getting up. Watch them coming up again on their own. And you're standing there. And you're just doing that like I do with little Marnie, who's starting to walk, my grandchild. Your granny's arms are there, you know, but you don't go and rescue them. Oh, you're going to fall. No, that's not your business. The business of that little child is to get up and fall down again, and get up and bang her head and bang her arms, knowing that she's all right. And you're looking on and you're knowing that she's okay. She's got to do that. It's part of her experience. Don't take her glory from her. Let the child know, I can walk. I did it myself. So the ego can say, you know, I've had it hard for a long time, you know. This person sort of, you know, they're kind of ignoring me, and I've been there all her life, and it's not fair. And she won't do these things anymore, and she doesn't seem to want to do that anymore. And there's no blame anymore, and that's getting on my nerves because I love somebody to blame. But the ego just falls gently into love, and it's such a place of just acceptance. The ego is accepted as a being full of love. And when that happens, you know, there's nothing else to fight. There's nothing left to fight. You know what that's called? Freedom. The Last Ecstasy. Read it in the book. Fintern Press has done a great job. Beautiful job on the cover. We haven't got the whole thing back yet from the editor, but they've done a great job on the cover. Everybody tells me so, that it's beautiful. So the cover is ecstatic. It's ecstatic. And so the contents will be also. But you know, I'm an Irish woman and I'm an Irish author. And you're probably halfway through the book and you'll say, you know, I think I heard this again somewhere. I'm sure this was in another book. Because we tell life like a story. We live life like a story. And you know, we love repeating ourselves. And you can hear me today, you know, I can't stop. You know, you can't stop the Irish. We're unstoppable. And somebody has to say, that's enough now, thank you very much, the interview's over. Because I will keep on experiencing. So thank you for speaking with me today, or for asking me these questions. I've done all the speaking. Do you have anything else you want to say, Greta?
Well, there's one more question that's come in,
Okay.
which is, people have wondered, you know, does it make you depressed having worked with the dying most of your life? I mean,
That's
how many years?
That's a really good question, Greta, and I don't get it too often. Because people see that I'm not a depressed person to begin with. No is the answer. I'm never depressed to begin with. I was when I was a younger person, before I started working with the dying, before I started working on myself. I was an extremely depressed young woman. I think my last knowing about depression was maybe when I was 35, 36, maybe 40 years ago. I have not experienced it since. When I work with the dying, I'm being taught and I'm awake. I take in all the little nuances. I have ears at the top of my head and I have eyes on my chin. I see everything, I hear it. I am very alive. I almost feel the cells in my body dancing with each other. It's a place of presence. Fasnacht, beautiful word in Irish. It's a place where that which is present in me meets the presence in the dying person, and we're both dying together. It's not just the dying person. Something in me is dying, is being integrated along with the dying person. We are integrating life together. And it's an amazing journey. When you talk about depression, some people feel, oh, well, you know, the person's dying and that's very sad, and the poor family and the grieving, and Phyllida, you're with grieving people so often, that must be awful for you. No, it's not. It's not. I have done my grief work myself. I have grieved every little experience that was not love. I've grieved them in myself. And when you have grieved your own life, and even the fact that you come into incarnation, such an amazing courage, so you grieve that little being that came to the earth. When you've done your own grief work, you can be with grieving people all day long and all night long. And your only need will be that somebody brings you a cup of tea every so often, because you're fully engaged, you're fully present. You're with what's happening. And I've often been told, people have told me, when they see me with dying people, I remember, I'll just give you a story. There were 3 young women, young students were in the room with me. It was in a hospice. and I was sitting with a dying person. And one of the women were behind me, and I was with the dying person. And I turned around and I said, would you please take your hand out of your pocket and stop moving that? She had her hand in her pocket and she was just very gently doing that. I heard it. Nobody else heard it. And she was down there, far away from me, down the window, doing that. You are absolutely in tune with the dying person. And you're taking in the whole environment. Why? Because when we are dying, our consciousness expands. The consciousness of the dying person would have known that she was footering with something in her pocket. When I'm sitting with the dying person, my consciousness expands with them, because they're taking me in as well. So I've got to be fully present without moving muscles. So I say to people who've been sitting a long time in meditation, great practice for sitting with the dying, because you'll not be shifting your body. You know, when you're with a dying person, and especially the last 3 days before they die, their consciousness is expanding into the whole room and into the village. Their soul is expanding. They're taking in all experiences. And so if I'm sitting here and I'm making noises, or that's like a mountain falling down on top of somebody whose consciousness has expanded. You know what it's like yourself when you go into meditation, Greta.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what you're like at that place. You're open and you're expanded.
Mm-hmm.
And you want the silence. It's important. For the nervous system, it's essential that you have silence. Not just because you like quiet. For your nervous system, it's important.
Mm-hmm.
So back to the question. You see how I get away from the question? Depression? No. Elation? Yes. You see, when the person dies, that means that the struggle to be in a body is over. The struggle to be there for other people, for the family, is over. And you can see sometimes when the family comes into the room and they're, the dying person will change their expression. They're trying to look as if they're half alive again for the family. It's pathetic to see what happens, really. They're trying to look okay in their dying process so that the family will not be devastated. In some houses that I've been to where people have sat by the dying person doing this, holding their hands and patting them and, oh mummy, oh don't die mummy, stay, and we know you can fight this, we know you can stay, we know you can do it. So I've had to gently and lovingly bring them out of the room, because that is not serving the dying person and it's not serving the family either. The dying person doesn't need to be touched at all, and certainly not spoken to, because again they're in the expanded consciousness. When you speak, it's like a loudspeaker. We've expanded. We really have expanded. You see, the soul is about to leave. When the soul is coming into the body, when the life force, if that's the word you prefer, is coming in, it has to contract, bring itself in from the ether, from the universe, from the universe. It has to contract to come into this small form, baby form. My God! So it's contracted. Absolutely. And when we're dying, taking off that coat and wow, expanding oneself into the ether, into the universe. Depression can be part of the dying, of the bereavement work. Depression can be part of that for people. It's one of the stages that Elizabeth speaks of. And when I would work with Elizabeth, which I did for 10 years, and she would say to me, they're in their depression part of it. And I remember saying to her, that's a good place to be, isn't it? And she used to say, what do you mean? I'd say, well, at least they've accepted now. It's the next, for me, it was the stage before acceptance. And yeah, she would say, yes, so it is. So depression, you know, depression in the person who's bereaved is not a bad, none of the stages are bad. They're not, none of them are bad. They're progressive, not chronological, they're progressive stages. And when they reach the place of depression, something in me says, oh wow, it has struck them. Yes, the beloved has died. Yes, they're now in a place where they can receive more. They are depressed, they're feeling down, the beloved is no longer there, they're missing them terribly. But when we can stay with them in that place and not try to cajole them along, or you'll be fine, or why don't you go out more, or maybe, you know, there's bingo tonight, or why don't you go out and join people? No, sit with them. Sit as if you're sitting with Jesus in his agony in the garden, because he was in a depressed place at that stage, before death. He was in a place where he couldn't accept, I can't accept it, that I'm dying. And how many women with cancer have we heard saying that, I can't accept it. We don't need someone to say, well, you know, you'll be fine. You know, you will, you know, I promise you. You can't promise anything. I've heard that so often. I promise you, you'll be fine now. You'll get the chemo and you'll be fine. Allow the person their depression. It's their gift to themselves to go into that place, that cave within themselves, and sit there for a wee while, knowing there's somebody sitting with them. Jesus said, can you watch for an hour with me? And the apostles couldn't, as we hear the story, because they were into their bereavement. They were going to lose their friend, they said. He's going to be moving away. We won't know him anymore. What are we going to do? Our friend is dying. They couldn't watch with him because they couldn't offer him anything of presence. How could they be present to him when they needed to be present to their own grief? So for me, I can sit with the person who's depressed. I have no problem with that. I don't offer anything other than presence. And I certainly will never say, you know, you're going to be fine. I don't offer hope because I don't know if they're going to be fine. The hope comes from within themselves, not from me. That's too big. I couldn't do that. I'm not able to do that. I can't give anybody hope. That is something they find within themselves. The hope that I will get over this. I will be fine. Let them have it. Let them be in that space, whatever it is, and just sit beside them and watch with them, not try to advise them or bring them out of it. Is that okay? Does that answer anything?
Yes, yes, they're wonderful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Greta, and thank you.
Phyllida.
Yes.
Thank you.
Bye-bye for now.